Oh man, this is a delightful cusp. This cusp is actually the partner placement, partner sign for my cusp of my sun sign of Gemini Cancer. I have a long history with this cusp. Most of my really good friends has some energy on this cusp, and indeed I know so many. I was hanging out last night with one amazing friend of mine who is not only on this cusp for her sun sign but also Mercury and all these other signs. This is a fascinating cusp, for sure. I know I say that for all of them, but they all are fascinating. The things that are so fascinating about this cusp, man, where do we even begin? Let's talk about the strengths first, then we'll go into some of the challenges. When you marry Sag and Capricorn energy, you have literally the most playful and the most serious energy that there is. The most bubbly and just childlike and the most sober and serious. Um, when those energies are working together, that's an incredible gift. Because Sag is wise in matters of philosophy, in matters of understanding the whole, the abstract, getting the general picture instead of the details. And they understand that energy is very keen on understanding life. And not only understanding it, but living it, enjoying it. And so you have this wonderfully exuberant energy, a lot of, again, playfulness, a lot of just enthusiasm for life. Nothing can get Sag energy down. The gift of Capricorn is pragmatism, a good, sober outlook, understanding what works, what won't, powerful common sense. You know, you would think that common sense is common to all of us, but it's really not. Those with Earth energy, and I find even more so, those with Capricorn energy have absolutely incredible common sense. And just have a very good natural understanding of what works in the world and what doesn't. You know, understanding reality. So when you get this combination of energies together, also Capricorn is wonderful at discipline, wonderful at setting a goal and striving towards it, achieving it. It may take a while, but achieving it. So, what happens when you have energies on this cusp? And I'd like to say too, there seems to be some little bit of confusion about how far the cusp extends. Um, into the astrological research that I've delved into, as well as my own, I've found that it seems to be pretty standard that, at least for the sun, I go off all the planets and I find truth in it, but at least for the sun, it's about 10 degrees on either side. And obviously, the closer you are to the cusp, the stronger it is. And by 10 degrees on the other side, I mean basically 0 degree Capricorn, and then off to 10 degree Capricorn. And 10 degree Capricorn I don't see as any influence of Sag. That's what I found. And then 9 degree, tiny little bit of Sag, but very just like a trace. And then obviously as you get closer to the cusp, it'll be more powerful. And then it extends on the other side, 29 degrees Sag up until 21 degrees Sag. It's a little bit Capricorn. So hopefully people watching other cusp videos see this, or I don't know, maybe I'll probably decide another video. In any case, when you marry these two energies together, you get capability mixed with enthusiasm. That's one of the little mixes that we get. And I'm always amazed by the optimism, that gift, and it is a gift of optimism. Yes, it can lend itself to naivete sometimes, but that optimism of Sag mixed with the business sense, the capability of Capricorn. And so these people make incredible business people because they have the courage to dream those big impossible dreams. And they have the skills to back it up with that Capricorn. They have the grounded outlook of, okay, this all seems well and good. I'm all excited for this project, but how is this going to work? What are our obstacles? That is where Cap comes in, because Sag is not good with that. And, I mean, they can be good with that, but they're just not naturally good with that. We have to call our energies as they are. Capricorn energy is the best at that. Absolutely. Okay, obviously Taurus has its claim for the best, and Virgo as well. But Capricorn energies as the cardinal Earth placement, absolutely capable of putting plans into motion, creating the plans in the first place, and overcoming any obstacles that get in the path, especially when Sag is there, because that endless supply of fire energy is very powerful. Very powerful. And Sag energy isn't quite as obviously as powerful as Leo or Aries, but it's just as potent, truly. Even though, Aries and Leo may have their ego right on their shoulder and whatnot, Sag is, their ego is there, but it's a bit more playful. It's a bit more involving with people. It gets people to join in the party atmosphere, as long as they're, not being too serious and whatnot. But when you get that combination, you have a wonderful person as per getting stuff done and involving people. Involving, going from a business point of view since it's Cap, involving consumers, clients, colleagues, getting people of a workforce to work together. That's definitely one of the skills of this cusp at its highest energies. Definitely. Thinking about it too, there's a lot of musicians on this cusp. Being that Sag is such a creative energy, that's fire for you. It's all about creation. So, we've talked about a good benefit of this cusp, a good advantage. Let's talk about a challenge. So. I would say the biggest challenge that comes to mind on this cusp is dogmatism. Sag energy, for all of its forward-thinking energy, progressive energy, its curiosity, its embracing that it doesn't know things, just like we all don't know things. For all of that boundless curiosity, Sag energy can very much get stuck, especially on this cusp, that Capricorn influence, get stuck in a rut. Especially when spirituality is involved, ironically, because for all that philosophy and whatnot, that's where the Sag ego really does come out. When somebody is talking about philosophy, religion, spirituality, because Sag has such a powerful voice in those matters, that it can very much be all too easy for them to only focus on their own perspective and not listen to others, especially with that Capricorn influence. This challenge is already present with Sag energy, but when you add Capricorn, that's when the dogmatism comes in. I'm a Sag, and I'm, or wherever the energy is in the chart, I'm on this cusp, and I'm all about fun and tolerance and bringing other people's perspectives to play, because I love expanding my mind. Except for religion, I am the one who's right, nobody else is right. This is the way that it is. There's no other way, because of either that's my understanding of it or somebody has taught me that. That is the biggest challenge with this cusp. Whether present in Sun, in Mercury, wherever. Religious dogmatism is unfortunately a big hallmark for this cusp, and I would say the biggest challenge for sure. So how do we get past that? Awareness, really. When it comes to any energy, it all comes to awareness, and especially fire energy, because fire is so subjective, as water energy is. It's so easy to follow on psychological habits and not question ourselves. And so, as long as you just are aware of your beliefs when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to metaphysics, and when you're aware of your reactions to other people's broaching of these topics, as well as other people's reactions to your reactions, all that chain. Sagittarius is wonderfully observant. That's one of the beautiful things that unites Sag and us Geminis, is that we're interested in looking at the world. We're naturally wishing to observe. It's not even about wishing. We do it. We observe. We find patterns. We try to understand. And so I find what's really nice is, even with that challenge of dogmatism, is with time, that Sag energy gets past the Capricorn dogmatism, and as well as the Sagittarian dogmatism. That's they both have their little claims for. It's an interesting note. Don't get depressed. But there have been so many dictatorships ruled by Sages. In fact, I think more than any other sign, Sag dictatorships. I wish I could think more right now, but I know Joseph Stalin was a Sag. I wish I could think of more, but I don't want to depress you. But that's important. It happens. It's true. Those energies can lend itself to to those challenges, particularly if Venus is in Scorpio. But we can rise above those challenges. Even with challenging energies, there are beautiful, beautiful rewards. Venus in Scorpio, perfect example, but that's a whole other video. So as long as you don't start a genocide, or as long as you don't start a dictatorship, then as you get older, that's natural Sag curiosity, as well as the fact being that Capricorn energy gets a lot easier as we get older, as does Aquarius energy, irrelevant, but Saturnian energy, Aquarius, this gets easier as we get older, because we're more in tune with time, we've had more seasons to live through, more wisdom, more maturity, and time is a godsend for Capricornian energy. It really is, because it allows us experience to work off of. Capricorn is all about practical experience, and as well as hard work. And it's a very slow, methodical energy. It gets shit done, but it takes a long time. But the beautiful thing is this. In comparison to, for example, the air signs, especially Gemini, Capricorn energy, when it gets something done, it's going to last. That job is going to last for forever. Forever, forever, forever. And so they do it right. They take a long time, but they do it right. And ultimately, they end up with a lot more than even some who, got stuff done maybe a decade before, but it all fizzled out because it didn't have that solid foundation. It didn't have that real hard work put into it. That's where Capricorn comes in. And what's really nice, again, as long as genocide and dictatorship is not entertained as good outlets for this energy, you will become naturally wiser with time. And not just wiser in the matters of philosophy, in the matters of understanding life, understanding yourself, understanding other people, and cycles and whatnot. Not just that, but also understanding what works, what doesn't work, what's going to last, what's not going to last. What are some of the principal tenets of life? What is life? After all of these seasons I've lived through, what have I learned? It's a beautiful combination. My stepmom is a Sag. Her Mercury's right on this cusp, and she's just gotten wiser with age. And I just love being in her presence. That energy, because it truly is. It's mature, and yet still so playful. You never lose that Sag playfulness, and you never should. That's one of the challenges with this placement. With any cusp placement, because two signs, the cusps are so interesting that way. There's never two signs that are next to each other that are very similar. For example, two water signs or an air or fire sign. It's always one and then the other. How does it start? Fire, earth, air, water, fire, etc., etc. Very different energies. So with any cusp, and especially this cusp, because Sag and Cap can be so judgmental. Obviously Cap a little bit more than Sag, but again, Sag has that Achilles heel, or maybe since Sag rules the thighs, the Achilles thigh, of getting wrapped up in their ego when it comes to certain matters, spirituality, to a lesser extent, because I don't really see how you can get dogmatic. Well, I guess you could, but they're also very interested in international relations, international affairs, different cultures, different people's languages. It's hard to get dogmatic about that, but then again, nationalism, Sages very much can be, in the past, more so than now, since that was the challenge then in the earlier part of the 20th century, and the last part of the 19th, and a lot of other times, but essentially that nationalism was a big challenge. And Sages, they have all that fire, that enthusiasm for life. Sometimes, just like all the fire signs, and just like all the fire signs, sometimes that enthusiasm can be mischanneled. It can be channeled in stuff that isn't worth it. And so you have this Sag who has all this wonderful, enthusiasm and whatnot, unfortunately channeled into a channel that does not fit their full nature. And so they become ridiculously fanatical about, again, a number of things. It could be anything really, but especially spirituality, especially religion. I've seen so many times parents of this cusp being so dogmatic with their children. The beautiful thing is this: these energies can also be the most tolerant once the Capricorn catches up. The Sag energy is naturally going to be moving towards its tolerance, even if it has its fanatical days. Capricorn, again, needs time. It needs evidence. It needs to be able to see things. Sag is abstract. It doesn't need to be able to see things. It needs to be able to envision them, to feel them. Cap sees that and goes, what the fuck? I don't, that just does not compute. Capricorn mind is here now. This is what I see. This is what I am. This is what I can do. This is what can be done. That's the kind of thinking that's with Capricorn. And as time goes on, again, that it loosens up. Capricorn, it's so funny. Cap, even more so than Aquarius, but Aquarius as well, because of that Saturn influence, because of that serious influence of that planet. We grow younger as we get older with Capricorn and Aquarius energy. And to have energies on this cusp, you're not only going to be young already with your Sag, but you're going to grow younger with your Capricorn as well. And that's when you reach the best parts of this cusp. That's when you let go of, only I know what is right. And, stuff like that. As well as very judgmental. This can be a very judgmental cusp, just like Gemini Cancer. Very much like Gemini Cancer. It can be a very judgmental cusp for people who have different beliefs than you. And it's funny because Sag will be the first one to say, oh, I accept everyone of all beliefs. But they will also be the first one to fall victim to their psychological predispositions and psychological habits that have been ingrained in them, especially if Capricorn's involved. And I find especially if Venus or Mercury is involved in this cusp. I guess Moon as well. Man, there really is nothing more powerful than somebody at the higher edge of this cusp. But when they've allowed their ego to calm down and to absorb information from the outside. So funny because, again, I'm on the partner, I'm on the other side of this cusp. My sun is in Gemini Cancer. And I've had some of the best conversations with those of the Sag Capricorn cusp, not just the sun sign, but of other placements. Excuse me. But also, I've had some of the most challenging, and some of the, not to say better or worse, but honestly, some of them, I guess I'm going to say it, some of the worst conversations, in terms of just dogmatism, of just terms of not being able to reach through to a person because that Sag ego has said, nope, I know what I know, which it is valuable, but when Sag energy is only focused on what it knows instead of what it doesn't know, you gotta follow Socrates' saying of, I know that I know nothing. That's an important state to reach, not only for Sag, but as Geminis too. Because we have such boundless curiosity, but we can get so attached, and without even realizing it, to what we understand, to what we know, or rather what we think we know. And once we let go of that need to always be right, that need to always have an explanation, to always see the pattern. Yes, we do need to see the patterns. That's essential for these energies, for Gemini and Sag. But when you let go of needing to be right and needing to see it, and just letting it all happen naturally, when you let that all just occur organically, your curiosity doesn't have limits. And that's one of the biggest things that scares Sag and Gemini is limits. And yet we have this natural, at a lower order of energy or manifestation, we have this natural sphere of not understanding, so we cling to limits. Okay, this is what's true. That's not true. And it's so limiting. From speaking from my experience and with Sag friends and loved ones, when you think you know everything, you know absolutely nothing, and not only that, you don't know that you know nothing. And that's like shooting us in the foot with Sag and Gem energies, because we want to run and we want to be curious and explore there and over there and over there, literally and more importantly mentally. We want to explore and adventure. But when we think we know, how are you going to be able to run when you have that bullet in your foot, with that blood gushing out? Don't focus on what you know. Focus on what you don't know. That's really scary for Capricorn energy, because Capricorn is all about what you know. And for the Capricorn side of this, okay, that is important to focus on what you know. But for your Sag, philosophical, curious, adventuring energy, it's important to let your ego calm down and to not always prove you're right, to not always prove that you have something of offer. Sometimes it's really, for Gem and Sag, and it's taken me a long time to learn this, but when you can listen to somebody and not just be thinking of your reply, if you can really listen to somebody, have a general idea of what you want to say in return or whatnot, but you don't have to thrust your opinion forward. That's such a gift, because it gives the entire conversation freedom. It gives both people freedom to express themselves. You're limiting yourself when you try and control people's minds. Man, and then when you try and control their spiritualities and beliefs and ideas, that's just, again, that's shooting yourself and the other person in the foot. Maybe shooting yourself in both foots, really. A lot of shooting, a lot of foots, that's all I'm going to say. And again, on the Capricornian side, it is important to embrace what you know. And, with both of these energies, as you get older, you become more wise. You do understand more about the universe. But no matter how wise and mature you become, never lose that spark of curiosity, that spark of, I don't know, I want to learn, this is fucking awesome, this is fascinating. And don't worry so much. Cap energy is so worrisome. It worries about everything. We take for granted so much about how we're taken care of on this planet, about how incredible the current state of being, or state of affairs are in this world. Yes, we have a lot of shit to work through, but ultimately, look at the technology around you. Look at the peace around you. And for those cynical, thinking that we're not in the most peaceful times in recordable human history, look at all the wars that have happened in the last century alone, let alone going further and further back. And not just the numbers, the quantity of those dying, which is still astronomically higher than in this last century, which is saying something considering how many people have died in awful ways. More so I'm thinking about, World War II and whatnot. But also brutal torture and whatnot in past times. Brutal. And of course in this last century too, but go back further centuries, it gets progressively more horrendous, and the treatment of human beings by human beings in more obvious circumstances like torture and war, but also in less obvious like feudalism and slavery. Well, that's a pretty obvious one. But it's very important with Cap energy to not worry so much, but still to have that cautious mindset. That's a great skill for Sag, because Sag is like flying everywhere. And you know what? It does work for Sag for the most part, as long as they don't push their luck too far. But Sagittarius have a very good feeling of what's going to work out, what's not going to work out. And as long as, they're being realistic and they're not letting ego rule things. If they're genuinely going with the flow and saying, you know what? I'm going to take that risk. That feels right. Yeah, all right. A great skill to add to that is that Capricornian sober outlook, that Capricorn caution. Fear? No. Worry? No. Caution. Yes. And I know caution and worry is like the same thing to most Capricorn people, but very different. Worry puts us in a tumultuous state. It makes our stomachs clench. It makes us tight. It makes us tense. Caution is just simply going like this. Should I? Should I not? This could happen. That will happen. That's different from going, oh my god, is this going to happen? Oh shit. Oh my god. But what if that happens? Oh god. But what am I going to do then? Oh my god. Take each day at a fucking time, my friend. Take each day at a time. We cannot plan for the future. We can, obviously, yes, we can. But we can't really. We ostensibly plan for the future, but we can't really control how things are going to go. So do your best. Just do your best. And that's fun. Do we really want to be able to plan out every little part of our lives? No. As much as challenging as unforeseen circumstances are, and stuff that's really takes us for a loop from death to whatever. At the end of the day, life's a mystery and an adventure, and I don't want it to end personally. I don't want to know everything. I like that I don't know anything, really, and yet I like that as each day goes, I learn something more. That's what we have in common, these two cusps. We need to learn more, and yet we need to also reflect on what we've learned and be wise. That's where that Cap comes in. Sag too, but Cap really helps there. Anything that you dream, you can accomplish. So the question is this: is it worth dreaming? If the answer is a resounding yes, then pursue it endlessly. But it's important to think, is it worth dreaming? We all have dreams that come up that fall to the wayside because they don't suit us and our purpose here. It's good to be thinking about these things. It's good to be thinking in general. Namaste.